Welcome back to She's Constructin' It. If you missed episode 1 and want a very brief overview of what we're up to, start there. Again, I'm Nikki, and you'll see way too much of me in this series, but I want Margot to introduce herself a bit more, since she's crucial to both the project and the learning process.
I am an outdoor educator. I work for Knowles, teaching leadership and environmental studies and a variety of outdoor skills, and I absolutely love my job. Teaching courses all over the country means I move around quite a bit, and I have often thought of buying a van and building it out, or building my own tiny house, but I don't have the skills or the tools, and the whole idea is frankly quite intimidating. So when Nikki told me she wanted to build a studio and use the project as a teaching tool, I jumped on the chance. This means I get to become a student again. It's such an amazing opportunity for me. I get to learn the whole process, from planning and design to using power tools, which I've never done before, and all the skills to build from start to finish. What is really cool is that by putting myself in the student role, I have to get out of my comfort zone. I have to be okay with asking lots of questions and maybe looking like an idiot. And as an educator, I ask my students to do that all the time. And I think it's really important for me to practice what I preach.
Getting started might be the toughest stage of a project. It was for making these videos, and it will be again when I start my next construction project. Where to begin? You've probably done some brainstorming, some research, gone and looked up inspirational photos, or walked through rooms that delight you. Maybe you've done these things for years. But now you want to take it from concept to construction. Paralyzing, right? Where do I start? How much will it cost? How long will it take? How much mess will I be living in? How stressful will this be on me and my family? Will I ever finish? Unfortunately, no one but you can decide if your project is worth jumping into. And likely, you won't really know if it was worth it until it's over. Terrible answer, I know, but true. Here's some things I like to think about when brainstorming when and if to go after a crazy construction project. 1. Talk to someone else, someone you trust, someone who preferably has already done something like what you're about to tackle, someone to be a sounding board and a reality check. Really listen to what they have to say, but also remember every project is different, so their problems and concerns may not apply to you. 2. Treat this like a business proposal. Go into it with all the reservations and concerns you might on a business project. Build a budget as specifically as possible. Build a timeline and list the pros and cons of every aspect. If this project involves a partner in any way, from the love of your life to a friend who has agreed to help you, there are lots of considerations for this, and we'll touch on that later, as well as budgets and timelines. But make sure to address those here in your business proposal. 3. Consider applying something like the 10-10-10 method for decision making developed by Chip and Dan Heath. In my case, I talked through the 10-10-10 method for this project with the love of my life, Jeff, who would also be the most affected by this project. 10 minutes into the idea, I was jazzed. It's COVID. All Margot's work contracts had been canceled. She was living on her property in a tent because she had unexpectedly become a COVID refugee with nowhere to go and no job. My plans for the summer had also come to a screeching halt. It was something I'd been talking about trying, teaching construction to women, but hadn't committed to. I could use this project to test out my construction classes for women with only one student, and at the end of the day, I'd still have an asset for the property even if it didn't work out. Yeah, very jazzed within 10 minutes of the idea. But then I began talking budgets and timelines and details and utility concerns. We're on a low-producing well in a small solar system. So Jeff and I talked, okay, this sounds great in the first 10 minutes, then crazy in the next 10 minutes. But what will it feel like in 10 months? We started talking about this in May, so what about February? And in 10 years, will this have been worth it? We decided in 10 months we really didn't know how we'd feel, but in 10 years, if all went well, at the very least we'd probably still have a worthwhile studio, and at the best, a great experience, good friendship, and have learned a lot. 4. Remove yourself from a binary decision-making model. Don't just decide, I will either do this project or I won't. Try to come at it from as many different options as you can. What if you do part of the project now and part later? What if you change the scope or the scale of the project entirely? What if you go take some classes and be sure construction excites you? What if you just toss the whole idea and decide to spend that money on a vacation? Get creative here. 5. Get excited. Get really, really excited. Excitement, enthusiasm, and the joy of learning will carry you further than anything else on a huge, daunting project. You probably already know this from everything else in your life. 6. Be kind to yourself. This is the one I find the hardest and constantly need to remind myself and everyone I work with. You will make the wrong decisions for all the right reasons at the time. You will break things. You will break expensive things. You will buy the wrong materials or at the wrong time. You will yell at the wrong person when you should be calling it a day and drinking a beer. Be kind to yourself. You're learning. Always allow yourself to make mistakes. Be as safe as you can, and remember, materials are just that. They're replaceable. You aren't. Be safe and keep others safe, and otherwise take joy in the learning process and be willing to mess up, break, and fix all sorts of things. Okay, now that we've looked at those 6 items, let's address some gendered issues here. There are no absolutes. I'm generalizing. I'm also generalizing from my experience, using my life filter, and my narrow window into the world. You, dear viewer, are warned, and I'm very sorry for any offense or irritation I cause when I say things you disagree with or don't reflect your own experience or views. I identify as female. I'm almost 38, I'm about 5'5" and 7/8 inches, and weigh around 135 pounds. This means when I try to move a 90-pound sack of Portland cement, it is approximately 67% of my total body weight. These are facts. I can work on my core strength, my lifting posture, my alignment, but at the end of the day, a man who is 250 pounds of mostly muscle is still only moving 36% of his body weight. I can punish myself by competing with a 250 pounds of muscle, but at some point, all I accomplish is injuring myself or getting frustrated, usually both. Work smarter, not harder. This means I need to listen to my body, my ability, my fitness at the time, whether or not I've slipped my lower back that year or how my multiple sclerosis is affecting my coordination, energy level, or sensation in my extremities. At times, I want to punish everyone and everything around me for the state of my body. I just want to be healthy, invincible, work endlessly without pause until I'm ready to be done for the day. Sometimes I really mess up and punish myself or injure myself, and then I have to spend extra time to heal. I'm getting better at listening. Work smarter, not harder. We'll show you how levers, impact drivers, good screws, furniture dollies, cribbing and blocking systems, pulleys, and friends are just a few of the essentials for making heavy and awkward construction more satisfying and more fun. I will try and point out these tricks when they come up during different episodes. And I realize that just as I can't carry an entire concrete counter up a flight of stairs as my brother can, someone who is 4'10" and 95 pounds is going to have to use different techniques and tricks for carrying a 4x8 foot sheet of OSB. None of this should ever involve shame. Congratulate yourself on being resourceful, clever, and asking for help when needed. Construction often feels like a very machismo competition. Don't let it become that way. Injuries just as easily end the careers of enormous, buff, boastful men as they do small, petite women. Work smarter, not harder. It will be so much more fun. So now that you've gone through your project proposal, use some sort of decision-making model to double-check that this is a good idea, and you're fired up and ready to really start and have fun and take care of yourself, let's go into episode 3, which is planning and design.